The puck is about to drop on your favorite all-Canadian hockey podcast. Without further ado, here are your co-hosts, Mick and Grant. Enjoy Canada Puck. Hey guys, welcome to the Canada Puck podcast, your weekly recap of what's going on in the world of hockey, specifically in Canada, just like the name implies. I'm your co-host, Mick. You can find me on Twitter at ProfitMick. And I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host who's below me today. Below me.
Grant on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. Getting a little tired of being on top there, so gotta switch things up. Appreciate the switch up.
Your hips get sore, when they're kind of spread like that for too long, so I feel
your eyebrows are probably getting sore too. You put in some work with that intro. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I know.
Selling.
Come on, brain, work it. New date and time. No longer a Saturday morning. We're going to have a couple drinks. See how Friday nights treat us. So, go from there.
I kind of like the idea of Friday night. It's a little easier to rationalize having a few beers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll take a free pass on a Saturday morning when it comes to having a drinky poo or two, but a little bit more socially acceptable. Today, I have a crafty radler, and it is probably the tastiest radler that is out there. Perfect for a spring evening podcast.
Sweet. And just so I can go back and listen to this in the future, I grabbed an old IPA that I had, a Red River specifically. I think that's a Liquor Depot brand that I'm drinking. And when I opened it, it spilled all over my keyboard and mouse. So when that's not working in a couple days, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's why.
There's Mick sucking his juice out of his keyboard again.
Well, keyboard, we're going to drink ourselves out of another one. But if you're new to Canada Puck, the way this works is we're going to run through headlines, kind of look at the big stories, what's going on in the league. We got a little fantasy advice, a little gambling advice. See where the night takes us. Night's young, and so are we.
We kind of get. I'm in my 35th year, and you know what's kind of scary to think about? So going into my 35th year, but I've actually seen 5 decades. So 80s, 90s, aughts, 10s, and now 20s. So, and you're in the same boat. We're in our 5th decade of existence, if you want to get technical.
I don't feel comfortable anymore. And podcast is over.
Yeah, no, it's not just the podcast. Our lives are over. There's nothing else to look forward to.
Well, I'll be passive. I can be a pacifist if you want to be the nihilist of the episode. And I guess if you want, we could carry on to the next section.
I've been embracing my nihilist phase. It kind of started last year. The pandemic's just made things worse. You know what? Nothing does matter. But anyways.
Sure, nothing matters. Everything's dirt. Just like the Honda West, which is actually a great place to start if you're a nihilist of hockey. This is the nihilist of hockey division. Does this division matter? So the way this works is headlines, kind of big headlines. Honda West, anything going on this week since we last spoke?
We're hitting you with those deep philosophical questions today. Does the NHL West matter? I would say 2 teams, maybe 3 teams, newsworthy out of the NHL West. Jordan Binnington, rewarded with a 6-year, $36 million contract. I looked into it. Guess how many games Binnington has played in his career?
40 last year. Probably a shortened season. 112.
Man, that's a damn good guess. It was 105 when I looked yesterday. I think it'll be 106.
All right.
Obviously, he came in, he led the Blues to the glory land. Came in, they were out of the playoffs, basically last place in the team. I think the last team in the league. And he ended up going 24-5-1 or something crazy like that season. Obviously, metrics were on his side. GAA less than 2. Save percentage close to 93%. His numbers have gone down each of the last 2 seasons. So that is, he peaked in year 1, and he slowly worked his way back down to below average this year. Would you reward a goalie like that? And you think Binnington, he must be a young goalie. No, he fucking put his time in to get his chance in the show. And kudos to him. He made the most of it. He's been rewarded. But I don't think this is a goalie you lock up for 6 years at $36 million a year.
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense. I know that the NHL signed a big deal with ESPN, so unless they're looking at it being the cap's going to go up crazy over the next couple of years, so who cares, right? The guy's maybe he's a good locker room guy. Maybe he's got some dirty pictures of somebody after the parade, and he's like, "You're paying me."
Yeah, mix onto it again. I guarantee you dirty pictures work their way into that contract negotiation.
There you go. Other than that, yeah, Honda West, you're just meh. But moving up to the Mass Mutual East, one of those divisions that really gets you going. What's going on this week in the Mass Mutual East? I'm so fucking excited I can't even open my mouth.
That's some serious clench, man.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, actually, that happened in the East this week.
I mean, spoilers for later on in the show. The Islanders are kicking butt right now. The Islanders are, on a 7-game winning streak? Playing some excellent hockey. Just looking all world. So, we'll see. I think Anders Lee went down with an injury today, so if it does kind of go on long-term IR, that opens up some cap space. So you wonder if that's maybe a place where, like, Taylor Hall goes.
That's an interesting thought, actually. Reunite with Jordan Eberle. I'm glad you brought them up. I remember I looked into the Islanders earlier this week. Didn't really stick with me, but you're right. Winners of 7 in a row, and I think more impressively, they have like 9 wins in their last 10, I want to say now, but points in every. Their lone loss came in overtime. So basically, points in 10 straight games. I don't know where their offense is coming from. All of a sudden, Barry Trotz is just like flicked this switch. Is like, no, now we play offense in New York, and it's been working. They're just fucking tearing apart the opposition. They have, I think, a home with Jersey. They beat them 5-2, 5-3 the other night, and now they're going to Jersey. That's kind of a spot I'm a little weary of, and that's some foreshadowing for the Bettor Advice segment coming up.
Oh, no.
But it just feels like one of those super flat spots where like they're just going to fall flat on their face in like the most at a time when people expect them to just dominate.
Yeah, I agree. And again, foreshadowing. So the Discover Central. Anything going on with the Discover Central this week?
Detroit so they took Tampa to overtime in the first game, and then on the second game, they beat them last night. It was a high-scoring game. I think Tampa made it close. I think it ended 6-4, something like that. But Detroit is one of those teams that they were due for a big outing or like a burst, and maybe that was peak Detroit this year. They did have the metrics working on their favor. They've kind of started to spiral the other direction now. So maybe if you're a Detroit Red Wings, just stop watching the NHL season now. You could say, you know what, my team ended the season on a win, and you got nothing else to worry about.
Go Tigers. Other just notes that are popping in my head. I heard that Kucherov is going to return for the playoffs this year if Tampa Bay makes it. Right, that's a big if. So that's bad news for kind of everybody, which is unfortunate. And it's nice to see that Patrick Laine scored his first goal the other night after going on like a 7-game drought, and he never really did that in Winnipeg anymore. So it's nice to see that some people just never change.
I was going to make a diaper joke, just didn't really click in my head as quickly as I thought it would.
Okay. All right.
Something, but there's a diaper joke there somewhere talking about changing too quickly. I don't know. Maybe we should call him baby powder.
Smart.
Baby powder line.
Speaking of diapers, let's talk about the Ottawa Senators, who are the bottom of the Scotia North, the best division in sports. Transition. Bottom of the standings. How did they do this week? They were 1-2. They had 7 goals for and 13 goals against. So, Ottawa.
They had that, was it that big outing against
the Flames?
Calgary, 4-3? And then just absolutely shit-kicked by the Oilers, 7-1. It got to the point where it's like, you know that Simpsons episode where stop, he's already dead. And this is like nearing the end of the first when it was 4-0. That's when that started creeping into my head. I
don't know if we can see this. Will my camera focus on that? No. I would just like to show that the Senators are playing. No, it's not going to work. How many seconds into the game did Connor McDavid score tonight against the Senators?
Oh no!
I'm gonna say you could count it on one hand.
Oh wow! I was gonna say 83 seconds, but I got to look into this now.
Yeah. So one of those things. Yeah, Ottawa, nothing great. However, some bright news. I was thinking about this today, kind of like, where does the Calder standing? So if we do pop up rookie goal scorers of the year, or just point leaders, we have Kirill Kaprizov for the Minnesota Wild leading with 20, but then both Tim Streutzel and Josh North are both second and third respectively with 15 points. So the future might be bright in Ottawa, just not the first 10 seconds of the Oilers game tonight. So yikes.
You know what I'm regretting now is that over 45.5. I don't disagree with my logic, but just to see the growing pains that this team is going through, particularly on the road, like at home, their metrics are working for them. They have a few hard-fought victories. They're starting to figure it out on home ice. But on the road, this team is just a fucking abomination, man. Like, when I think about bad hockey teams on the road, I can't think of many worse than what the Ottawa Senators are right now.
Yeah. Are they not in double-digit wins yet? Is that like a common thing? Okay, Dallas, Detroit. Oh, New Jersey. I just scrolled down. I know you can't see the screen, but I scrolled down the Buffalo. They only have 6 wins this year. All right. Man. How about Vancouver? They're at 6. How'd they do this week? They're 2-1, 7 goals, 4 and 8 against. So it's pretty average. Good job, Vancouver.
It was Demko. Demko stole the show against the Leafs, and their 2 wins obviously came against the Leafs.
Yeah.
We mentioned it last year. We didn't put the shine on him, which was surprising. I would thought, okay, as soon as I mentioned Demko's name, he's gonna let everything, including everything and anything in. But surprisingly, that wasn't the case. He had 3 good outings?
Yeah.
Where above average performance, and that's been the theme of his performances over the last 2 weeks, is that he's trending in the upwards direction.
Yeah, Vancouver, you're dead to me, so I hate you. I hate you so much.
So if we want to talk Vancouver, actually, I do have to mention this. So when I was in Vancouver, 2010 for the Olympics, I fell in love with this pizza place. Nothing special. It's called Fresh Slice Pizza. I was driving home the other day in Calgary, Alberta, and I was delighted to see that they had a Fresh Slice Pizza pop up on like 1st and 13th-ish, something like that, right by St. James Corner. And it is exactly as good as I remember it. So I am beside myself excited. Vancouver might not have the Canucks going for them, but they do have the Fresh Slice Pizza place. So if you're ever downtown, man, go check it out.
All right, cool. Yeah, I made a couple trips myself out to Vancouver. I kind of like it because it's almost like going somewhere different, just because of that Pacific Northwest has that kind of cool feel. But your like debit cards and your cell phones work. It's great.
Vancouver,
yeah,
yeah,
it's all right. It's all right. Anyways, speaking of Top Slice Pizza, there's one in Calgary now, and they're 5th in standings. So I am killing it with the segues today. I'm doing really well. I wrote down all their standings too, if you can tell by the piece of paper that I'm reading off of. The Flames went 1-1-1. 7 goals for, 7 against, same as the Canucks. So that's suspicious. I'm starting to think maybe they're the same team.
They may have benefited from the Darryl Sutter change on the short term, but I don't know if it's going to be a long term thing. On the first day, he bag skates them, and I don't know, man.
Yeah,
you bag skate them the day, like game day, and then you struggle to put up 2 goals against Montreal, who's on the second night of a back-to-back with travel, and I think it was the 3rd game in 4 nights, with their backup goalie in net. Fuck Sutter, man. And everybody, I've seen a few interviews this week where, oh yeah, everybody's raving about Sutter, how up-to-date he is with everything. I don't get, the point I struggle with, I guess, is bag skating him, fine.
Yeah.
You have a shitty performance, fine. But he hasn't even been behind the bench for the shitty performance yet. He's already fuck you losers, get out there and skate.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know, Nick.
So interesting. I think we kind of mentioned this earlier. ESPN signed a big deal with the NHL. And did you know that the very last NHL game that was shown on ESPN was Game 6 of the 2004 Stanley Cup Finals between the Calgary Flames and the Tampa Bay Lightning? So there is some fan out there in the States, ESPN land that believes that Daryl Sutter has been successfully coaching the Calgary Flames for 20 years. It's amazing.
Could you imagine the poor guy down in one of those southern states who just thinks that hockey stopped being played for 14 years?
Yeah, he's like, hey, that guy again. He's like, son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Anyways, let's not talk about those like losers that are on the outside looking into the playoffs. Let's look at like some hot, meaty playoff action. At number 4, we got the Montreal Canadiens. They had an okay week. They went 2-1-1. 14 goals for. Best offense in Canada. You heard it here first. And 5 goals against.
They are the best offense in Canada. God damn it. This is a perfect time to segue to our player pool, which I haven't looked at.
Oh, I'm at my point!
Damn it.
Yes!
Habs still have 4 games in hand, so...
Need a lot of shutouts, guys.
And the way Vancouver's playing right now, that is not scoring.
Mm-mm.
But on the plus side, Vancouver's also not giving up a lot. Montreal, best offense. I don't know how many times you have to say it. Best offense.
Yeah, and like, I mean, again, like they only gave up 5 goals. 5 goals against this week, right? Like, and they played 4 matches. Like, that's pretty good. Like, they're obviously... Carey Price is rounding into form. Defensively, like, there's no argument that defensively they look kind of like they're set there, right? And if their offense does come even in just like little spurts... I know Philip Deneau got 2 goals this week, so big shout out to our boy.
Philippe Deneau.
Now, I know I realize we're about a month away from the trade deadline. It's like April 12th, so I think almost exactly a month away. And could you see the Montreal Canadiens maybe going all in, especially if like the Calgary Flames, if there's kind of a distance or something like that? And wouldn't you love to see like a Johnny Gaudreau or a Sean Monahan throw on a nice Abaton jersey, kind of brings that like that offensive presence to one of those top couple lines? Maybe.
You could make the argument for both of those players on the buy-low spectrum, and that's kind of the MO that we've come to expect from Bergevin. Is like, He's not a guy that typically splurges. He's a guy who will look to buy low and get those guys where he's not giving up a ton of assets. So, like, the shoe kind of fits, but I don't think the Canadians need another undersized forward. Like, Johnny Gaudreau is great. Still a skill player. I
was more looking at kind of like that. If you put Monahan in for Philip Deneau, like I might be eating crow on that one and saying like, is this the best offense in Canada? Like no word of the lie, right? Like you add that kind of dynamic piece up the middle, like that might be the piece that kind of like excels them, right? Pushes them over the top. So I don't know what it takes to get that done, but food for thought.
One name that I've heard come up, and I'm sure everybody's heard it come up. It's funny, so little tangent here. It's funny how when like there's a rumor circulating, everybody on fucking Twitter is like, "Oh, my team is in on this," or "Oh, this is what my..." Like, bitch, you can't just start shouting stuff on the internet and expect it to come true. But Eric Staal is a guy who the Habs should have their eyes on. The Oilers were rumored to have interest in him, and he is a guy who I would say thrive in Montreal because he's exactly what they need, and that is like a strong piece up the middle who is going to be a difference in the playoffs, like a guy who's been there, knows what it takes. And maybe he's like the Habs would be smart to make one more move, and I think Eric Staal would be their best play.
And he showed a couple years ago, right? Like we thought he was down and out when he was in Minnesota, and he had that bit of a surge there, right? So like if he needs to just kind of turn it on just for a little bit and kind of come into that second string line, I could see that. It's not bad.
Could you imagine being stuck in Buffalo with Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel, like the biggest dicks in the league? Poor Eric Staal, man. Like we should start him a GoFundMe or something to boost his spirits.
Yeah, that's a poor little guy. Poor little guy indeed. How about top 3 in excellence? That was a burp that I suppressed. Good job, me. Oilers went 3-0 this week. It's pretty good. They got canned, I think, the week before by the Leafs, but they bounced back. 13 goals for, 5 goals against. One of the best defensive performances in Canada. So now, I mean, they were playing the Senators, so like maybe I should just be like, oh, okay.
That's, like, I've automatically diminished any time I see a team perform, and it was Calgary earlier this week where they beat they beat Ottawa one of the two games, I believe.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, Calgary put up some impressive metrics. And then I looked, I was like, no, it was against Ottawa. It doesn't count.
No.
But Mike Smith has been steady, and who would have thought 38-year-old Mike Smith, if he's not beating up Cam Talbot, he actually plays pretty well in that. So thank God Cam Talbot ended up in Minnesota. Was it Minnesota? I think it was Minnesota. And now Mike Smith can focus on goaltending, and the Edmonton Oilers are benefiting.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I had a point. Nope. Oh, it's gone. That's really unfortunate. Huh? But I mean, the point of sports, if you're like a good team, is you should be trying to beat the teams that you should beat all of the time, and then go like 50% against the teams you could beat some of the time, right? I think there's some expression like that. I butchered that one. I apologize. And you see kind of the difference between, I think, the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers is the Calgary Flames, do they have a losing record to the Senators this year? Because they might. They might be close. Like, if they played 5 games, they're probably 3-2, which is bad. Whereas the Oilers are shit-kicking the Senators, and that's kind of how you have to play it, right? So, kudos to them for kind of picking on the slow kid in class. Hopefully you feel good about yourself, Connor.
Leon Draisaitl. Poor Leon. The guy needed a game, not just one game. He needed 2 games against the Ottawa Senators before he finally made it count. But,
poor little guy.
You know what? Yeah.
It's all right.
Sorry, Sam.
Hopefully, if you're a gambling man, maybe you won some money on the Oilers this week. The Jets, on the other hand, went 1-1-1 right across the board. 8 goals for 11 goals against. So, considering I thought they had a pretty good week. I think they got beat up last week after the podcast by the Montreal Canadiens, and then kind of went tete-a-tete with the Leafs, and that's their week, right?
I fucking hate the Jets now. They were the team that I was rooting for. I was like, the underdog, the little engine that could, let's go Jets. Then to see how they win games, fuck them. They do not deserve to win these games, yet somehow they do.
Yeah.
It was, I think, the game against Toronto where they ended up winning. They gave up 50 scoring chances. Do you know how hard that is to do? You almost have to make a cognitive effort to not play in your defensive zone. And they still won 4-3. And not only that, but they screwed me on Thursday night, actually. Maybe this is why I'm most pissed off. Because I had the Leafs as a part of one of my Sports Select tickets. It wasn't much. It was a few $100, but I needed Toronto to win in regulation. And goddamn Winnipeg. And then, of course, Toronto has to rub it in my face afterwards. Oh yeah, we're going to score 30 seconds into overtime just to make you really regret your life.
Yeah. I think the Leafs were down in that game, right? It was 2-1 or 3-1 or something like that, and they had a bit of a comeback. So
yeah, it was a third period comeback. They had the lead. I think there was they scored. I think Winnipeg scored with about 3.5 minutes left, and I don't think it was a good goal. I didn't see it. I didn't see the highlights, but I kind of picked up on Twitter. It was, I think Matthews had a turnover. Anderson let in a bit of a soft goal or something like that.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyways, that gets us to the cream of the crop, the top of the mountain, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They had an okay week. They went 1-2. 9 goals for, 11 against. So, I mean, you lose to the Jets, you lose to the Canucks.
Yeah, it's been a rough week.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was a bit of a flat spot because they worked their way west, obviously, off 2 tough losses. Maybe we should have seen it as a bit of a letdown spot against the Jets that first night. But the metrics were the exact opposite, and that is the Leafs absolutely dominated. Didn't look at the game score from last night, but they do get the Jets again tomorrow night, and I can't help but think that this is a spot where the Leafs absolutely have to shine.
Yeah.
Saturday night, you lose a tough one the first night. You barely hang on the second night. If they shit themselves again, there's going to be a consequence. This isn't going to be one of those acceptable, yeah, it's okay to drop 2 or 3 against the Jets and, we're going to walk away unscathed. I think that there would be some sort of outcome.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I think they were playing above, and as a non-analytics man, I imagine if you looked at that stretch kind of before the Canucks series, the Leafs were probably playing way above their metrics. They were kind of playing above their expected expectations for the season. And they're good, but I don't think they're like that good. Like they're not going to get to the 9-game winning streak, especially in this division. I think it's very tough top to bottom. And like you said, they're going to hit a flat spot. I think that's kind of what we saw. And I think what they need right now is they've shown that they can play some level of competent defense. Their offense, it looks good, right? Like when it's on, it's on. What they need though is they need like almost some signature wins, right? Like they almost need to be down the 4-0 against the Jets tomorrow night and have the comeback or something like that, right? To kind of establish that identity that they're scrappy and they're not just gonna sit on the leads and lose, right? Like if we count number of games that they've lost this year with that, when they're probably up in every single loss. Or like the overtime losses, right? At this point, and it's just like it's a constant battle. So I think they have to kind of get that identity and like get rid of that part of their game, right? And kind of show that these guys have spirit, essentially, right? So that's kind of where I'm at in the point of the season, and we'll see what happens. So yeah.
I just gotta say something. Like you mentioned the Leafs were overachieving. The crazy thing was they actually weren't. When we look at the game scores, they had like objectively outplayed their opponents in like 12 straight games. Like there wasn't a game score in which they had posted like negative analytics. And that was just like the hardest thing to wrap my head around. And I think I mentioned a couple podcasts ago, like this is the team that can do it if they can get over that playoff hump. And I can't remember. I said, bring somebody in who's been there. And, we chat about Joe Thornton, Wayne Simmons, that podcast. Anyways, they are that good. Like from an analytics perspective, they are that good. Their expected goals for is the second highest expected goals for percentage, second highest in the league. And like their actual percentage isn't really that different. Like it's not even about 3%. So
see this little smile? I knew that. I just wanted you to say nice things about the Leafs.
I don't know. Maybe I'll regret that.
Did it. All right, cool. So that kind of wraps up headlines for the week. And then we'll just kind of keep you up to date, kind of keep track on how things are going next week until we chat. It's good stuff. So I don't think anything super dire is happening. There was a trade. Mikko Lehtinen was traded for some like Finnish goalie to Columbus. I can't ever pronounce his name, so that's a thing that happened.
Not Mikko Rantanen. I was like, oh my god, I missed a Mikko Rantanen trade.
No.
Mikko Lehtonen or something like that. Yeah,
I thought it was like I went with Lehtinen, but yeah, it's like Lehtonen or something like that. It's a KHL defenseman that they brought in from last year who just wasn't getting playing time. So now Leafs Twitter, and again, Leafs Twitter. I don't mean to blame you because Leafs hot girl Twitter still my favorite thing. Selfie game day.
I still haven't seen that. God damn it. Okay.
I'll start liking. Maybe I'll start liking, and then if you follow along, you can kind of see what I like, and hopefully that gets you there. So.
Okay, I dig it.
All right.
Sorry, is this which social media is this? Twitter or is this Instagram?
Twitter. Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple surly like drunk rowdy girls I follow. Seems like a good time. So. Seems like a good time.
Like the dumpster fire ones that you just can't help but like want to be next to.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh yeah, your life seems interesting. So. Cool. All right, so on to My Dirty Fantasy again, because we switched to the Friday nights. We were kind of like, oh, can we actually do this? I did find a matchup last week. I don't know if my advice was good, but Grant, your advice was great. I did make some modifications to my lineup based on just kind of the things we had talked about over the podcast. I ended up having a winner. I got like 170-something points, finished second in my brackets, or my little pool that I was in. So, yay.
Yeah, that one felt good. I've been struggling with this DFS stuff for a little while now, but it all came together. I think the Habs were a big part of it. I can't remember exactly what my lineup is. It's been one of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I could go back and look, but I'm like, meh. I think the bright sides of mine were McDavid. I had Carey Price, and then I had Philip Deneau had a goal, maybe an assist or something like that. He had a pretty good night for his values, so.
Yeah, it was Gallagher and Deneau. I remember now. Yeah, that's right.
Sweet. So I did throw something together. So on your screen, if you do look, these are just random things I clicked. We can talk through it, but I'm probably going to change it live on air and go from there. But, it doesn't sound awful. You want me to go through this? Just random. My random entry. Should I enter this random entry and just see what happens?
I mean, is it going to get worse than it was?
Okay, so I got Sidney Crosby and Pierre-Luc Dubois at center. Okay, Okay, all right. Andre Poulat and Anthony Cicerelli on my wings. I got Josh Morrissey and Keith Yandel on defense. Vladimir Tarasenko and Ryan O'Reilly as my utility players, and Pecorine. I don't know if Pecorina's the goalie. That might be like the only thing that's like there. But I'm like, it's I hate the goalie. I'm gonna say that there. But like other than that, I'm like, oh, it seems like a random entry that would win, right?
Other than Rene playing in Tampa, and like you have, I think, was it 2 Lightning forwards? Maybe that's a bold strategy. Like if you can somehow finagle another goalie, I will let you fill you in on this little tidbit here. Tonight is the first night of a back-to-back for the Blues and Golden Knights. So what that means, Binnington is starting tonight, so Ville Husso is going to start tomorrow night. I know he's a low-cost option. I don't know if it's like a dollar-for-dollar switch with Rene, or if you can make it work. But I have a feeling that Vegas Golden Knights, who have played a lot of hockey this week, we'll double-check their schedule. They're kind of... And then on the second night of a back-to-back away from home, I would say it's going to be a good spot to look at the Blues tomorrow, and with that, Ville Husso. So that was basically my rationale for going with Husso in net. Working my way up the lineup, I went. So this is going to sound stupid, but I picked the 2 worst teams in the NHL East for my utility spot. So I went with a Devils forward and a Sabres forward. Miles Wood is a guy, I'm starting to see his name. He had not consistently come up in game scores, but like at key times, Miles Wood shows up. And I mentioned earlier, maybe this is a flat spot for the Islanders tomorrow. If that's the case, Miles Wood is a guy, he's got positive relative metrics across the board. So Corsi percentage is above 50, shots, production metrics, everything's above 50. His expected goals for is in the plus, obviously, and his actual goals for is a little bit below that, so there's some room for growth, at least some implied room for growth. So I'm expecting Miles Wood to have a show. Victor Olofsson is a guy who I've seen consistently show up in game scores, so he is Buffalo Sabres material against the Penguins. I think it's just going to be a high-scoring game again. But I also have Colin Miller, I think his name is.
Okay. Yep.
He had a big game a couple games ago, so I've included him on my DFS lineup with Mikey. Is it Mikey? No, it's Mikey Anderson, LA. Mario Ferraro, that's who it is. With San Jose. So again, another team back-to-back. It's going to get sloppy tomorrow against the Ducks. So Ferraro is my other defenseman. And then my big 4 are Andre Palat, so we're similar on that one. Mitch Marner, Logan Couture, and Austin Matthews.
Sweet. I think I'm gonna roll the dice. I did get Ville Husso. Again, you can't see, but I mean the viewers can, so that's exciting. And I did have to downgrade from Tarasenko to a Nikolai Ehlers, so I'm okay with that. I think I'm happy with that. I got the Pierre-Luc Dubois, Ehlers stack. Yay. And I guess why spend for Austin Matthews when I can have Sidney Crosby?
I browsed past Crosby. Hopefully I don't regret it. But I saw him on the DFS list. I was like, I kind of want Matthews. I kind of want Crosby. Against Buffalo, they put up 5 goals last night. Well, was it last night?
Something
2
like
nights
that,
ago, whatever. So, and the Penguins' offense has been rolling. He's been a part of that. He missed a few games. Crosby had 2 apples his first time out. I think he had a little bit of little dry in the next game, but he's picking things up. I think Crosby's a good pick.
Sweet. All right. Cool. Yo. So I'm going to go random. Grant put some thought and effort into his. So that's how that works. So on to my Bettor Advice. So again, if it's your first time listening to the show, we're playing a little game. We're taking $100 every week and betting it on action. As you can kind of see on the screen here, like Grant kind of gave his stats last week. I'm hovering at 11 wins, 12 losses, about 47%. I'm down about $153. So had a couple not great picks last week. I got screwed over by the stupid Vancouver Canucks. But
yeah, your big one sunk you. That was the difference maker. That $70 on the parlay. I was worried once we made that bet that oh great, now it's going to be Montreal that loses and we're both screwed.
No, they were out like 6-1 at some point, like super early on. So I was like, done. I was out at a party, wasn't watching the game, phone in my pocket, late into the third, and then I see Vancouver throwing a bunch of goals, and I was like, what the heck happened? So, and then I had a miserable night, so I hate it.
Man, I'm surprised going to a party wasn't the tipping off point for the miserable night for you, but that's okay.
Yeah, no. Not at all. I mean, it's outside. Whatever, who cares? Cool. Grant, on the other hand, 12-1. So again, we're pretty similar there. But he's got a little bit better winnings. He's got plus $58 on the year. So yay.
Yeah, last week it was that goddamn, and it was close. Edmonton, Calgary just about made it to the shootout. I think Connor McDavid scored 3 minutes left, something around there, 2-3 minutes left, and that really sunk me. I was like, oh, fuck it. Yeah. Well, there goes that money. And it wasn't just hypothetical money. That was real money, too. Yeah. I had it on everything. I had it online. I had it on my Sports Select. I had it on the podcast. Like, god damn it, that one stung. It really just fisted me all the way around.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So, but it is an interesting method that we are kind of keeping track of, like wins, losses, and we essentially have to make back that kind of $100 every week just to like turn a profit, right? So I mean, the fact that you're keeping your head above water, but it's one of those things. Versus years past, if you're like years and years ago, what we used to do, we started with $100 and we could kind of do with that $100 as we saw fit. So typically, it ended up one guy built up a couple hundred, like $100 lead, and then the other guy tried to play catch up and went broke. That's the kind of how it worked. So this one is like a little bit different. It's kind of fun. But yeah, definitely kind of stressful, right? It only takes one or two kind of bad picks. Like I said, that $70 I kind of poorly invested into that parlay last week. But that was kind of the difference maker, right? So.
Yeah, and it was just, it was unfortunate too, because like you said, it was Toronto that let you down late. Yeah. And, well, it is what it is. We're on to this week.
Not only that, but if we look at the overs, right? Like I think I got 2 of the overs that Calgary, every game I think went over except for 2 at like insane amount of scoring on Saturday night, and the last couple weeks I happen to have like 1 or 2 of the unders. Like it's actually kind of difficult to be as bad as I am at picking overs at this part of the season. So, but I'm going to improve that. So I got 3 overs this week. I'll start with kind of the softballs. I like Islanders. I think them and the Devils. Over 5.5 for even money. Sounds like a winner to me. Montreal, I was going to stay away from the Scotia North because I just seem to always pick the duds. But the Montreal, Calgary? No. Whoever Montreal's playing tomorrow night, over 5.5 at minus 120. I'm going to put $15 on that as well. And then I like the Washington-Philadelphia game, over 6 goals for minus 115 for another $15. That gives me 45 of my $100. I wonder what I'm going to do with the rest of it. I got a little parlay. I'm going to just take I hate it. I'm just going to do a chalk pick of, I got Boston over the Rangers. I got Tampa Bay. I think they're going to bounce back after their loss to Detroit. And then I'm going to take the Florida Panthers over the Chicago Blackhawks. Parlay all of them together. I get plus 251 at $45. See where that goes. That could be one of those ones that like gets me back to even. So really hoping for that. And then I wanted to have a little bit of fun. I'm really trying to follow streaks and just watch streaks and watch them snap. Watch their bones get broken. So I've got 2 underdogs on the right side of streaks, hopefully. So I've got the New Jersey Devils going up against the New York Islanders in their 7-game winning streak, plus the Buffalo Sabres on their 9-game losing streak. Those 2 parlayed together get me plus 579. So $10 on that. Like I got a winner. Somewhere in there's a couple winners. So I think I only need like 2 of the 5 to hit, hopefully. And I should get some money back. So
that's a bold strategy. Just like 2 slumps bursting at the same time. Man, we'll see it. And that the price is right. $5.79, like why not? It's funny because I did key on both those games in my betting picks too. New Jersey plus 164 for all the reasons that you listed, and I mentioned earlier. The Islanders are good. They're a good hockey team, but they're going to fall flat down on their face at some point.
Yes. Why
not on the road against Jersey with Jersey as plus 164 underdogs? I have $20 on Jersey to win. Pittsburgh Buffalo, I took a different approach. I do think that Buffalo is going to have a good showing, but I also think that Pittsburgh is going to keep pace. Plus money, it was plus 112 on over 6.5. I can't help but think that it gets there, so I'm going over 6.5 for $20. Blues, they appear to be losing tonight. Second night of a back-to-back. This will be tomorrow night will be Vegas's 5th game in 8 nights. Second night of back-to-back with their backup goalie. Oh, you know what? I just talked myself into another bet. So I was going to do one thing, but I'm going to do 2 things. So that is Blues are minus 102, so priced as underdogs. I'm doing $20 on that, and I'm going to do a Blues VGK overtime bet for $20 because it's Saturday night and it's the second night of a back-to-back with a backup goalie in net. I'll double-check on that price, but that leaves me with $20. Another overtime bet, Washington, Philadelphia. These guys made it close last night, I think Washington scored an empty netter, ended up winning 5-3, was it? I'm expecting another, maybe let's say it's going to be 3-3 going into overtime. I have that one at plus 320. There's no line on the overtime game yet for, obviously, the Vegas.
Yeah.
Or let me just double check here.
Well, speaking of that, as you say that, started watching the Blues game before we started recording tonight, and the announcer said that Vegas is 0-7 all-time against St. Louis, in St. Louis. And I'm like, we're playing back, that's snapping. So I threw some money on Vegas tonight. If the Blues come back and win, I might just scrap all my bets and put all my money on Vegas tomorrow, because they're definitely winning one of these 2 games. So I have real money tonight. If not, I might just be like, no, scrap the podcast money. Everything is going on Vegas, because they have to. They have to win eventually. It can't be 0-9 all time in St. Louis. That's just bizarre.
Omaha! Mix call it Omaha!
I don't like it, so I don't like it. Oh, I also didn't mention too. I was trying to it was last Sunday morning. I'm down and out, on my exercise bike, being like, oh, I keep losing all this money, and I was like, wait a second. On the podcast, I said Braden Holtby would be a net for the Canucks. Is this baseball rules where if you switch the pitchers, I get my money back?
No, absolutely not.
No.
That speaks to both 2 things. Most importantly, that's just a bad reflection of the score. I don't know if the score's lost some luster for me over the last little while.
It expected. I did look later, and Demko, it was switched before game start, and it was confirmed. So there are confirmed and expected. So that was just their projections. But
even still, I was when you think about it, that situation, it wasn't a back-to-back. It was a primetime game. There wasn't a reason for putting the Canucks in that position of having to deal with Holtby in that when Demko's been as good as he is. And you could tell their algorithm's a little fucky, especially with goaltenders. And granted, it's expected, not confirmed, that kind of nonsense. Yeah. But it is it's a free app. But this is an app and an organization that used to have the best info. Yeah. And now there's even errors. There's one time I got all bent out of shape because it showed that a team scored and it was actually the other team that scored. I was like, oh, well, that changes things. And I kind of feel like an asshole for being all bent out of shape. But just to wrap things up, Blues Knights plus 310 overtime tomorrow.
Okay, sweet, y'all. Yeah.
Oh shit! It's going to St. Louis just scored.
Oh, all tied. Oh.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna call an audible on this one too. Actually,
all right.
This $40 on the Blues game is contingent on the game not going to overtime tonight.
Okay.
And if not, then if it does go to overtime and the Blues win tonight, I'm just going to put $20 on the overtime and $20 on Jersey.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Well, you keep track of the sheets, so I believe you will remember that. So.
I've got all these arrows and yarn tied to my string now. Makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense. Cool. So that was, again, that's everything. All that we wrote. That's the show. I know. Now, the one dangerous part about this next segment is it is Friday night. Had a couple drinks. Got some free time. Grant, what am I going to be doing later?
Well, I guess you could use your imagination to decide exactly what you're going to do. I've got to cue something up here just because I dropped the ball here a little bit. there was 2 people that I was looking at. Can't remember their names off the top of my head, so I am just going to open up the old whatever you call it here, Instagram. All right, this is one that's kind of popped up occasionally, but she's the first one that popped up, and rightfully so. Our Babe of the Week, brought to you by the lovely country of Germany, who do a lot of things right. Great automobiles, delicious beers, sausages, and apparently the damn finest women. Rahel Chewit. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but Rahel is the first name. Last name Chiwitt. Rahel Chewit.
It's probably like Ratchet. Sorry. Oh, the German came at me a little bit there. Oh.
It's okay, guys. He's German.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm allowed to say it.
But yeah, she does a little bit of everything right. Oh my god.
Yeah, good for her. A lot of sit-ups, Those ab crunches. Nice things.
I don't know how much time you spend on the old Instagram here, but apparently there's these leggings that are taking over the world that everybody has to buy. I gotta say, even probably just talking in front of my phone, I'm gonna be treated to a few extra pictures tonight, so I'm looking forward to that. They're like waffle leggings.
Yeah, I've seen that, the Insta leggings and stuff like that. That was trending through like Hot Girl Leafs Twitter for a while there, so everyone was showing them off, so it's alright.
God damn. Like, we should call them magic pants. They're magic pants.
They are magic pants. Yeah. They are magic pants. So cool. So with that kind of wraps up the show for this evening. It'll be posted overnight. You can watch it tomorrow morning at your leisure and get you ready for a hockey day in Canada. So it's good times.
Hockey day and Saturday. Woo!
Good stuff. So sweet. So with that, party on, Grant.
Party on, Mick. We will see everybody next week.
Bye.